Thank you for being with me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. It is Saturday, October 18th, 2025. We are watching two tropical waves right here. Here's one about to move into Trinidad and Tobago, very close to Barbados. Here's the spot back behind it, another tropical wave. That is the one that has a higher chance of developing once it slides into the Caribbean. I want to cover both of these in depth. The flood concern is very high in some of our islands. We'll go island by island with that. Watching that spin there and a severe weather threat through parts of the U.S. We'll cover that in this video. Try not to leave anyone out this time of year. It's so very busy. So again, thank you for your patience. Now, as we take a closer look here come some of the rain and storms into Trinidad and Tobago. Tobago first, and then moving off toward the west as the day goes on with the first tropical wave. There's the second one back behind it, plus this right in through here overnight and this morning. I've been watching the rain and storms, Puerto Rico, parts of the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. Also keeping an eye on Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, back through the Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico with some areas of heavier rain. And of course, Guatemala and El Salvador, back through Costa Rica and Panama, still some pockets of rain. Now, here's the second tropical wave. This is the one that we've been talking about. I want to show you the possibilities of this developing. Highly uncertain at this point because it is not organized, but in it, a lot of rain, a really lot of rain. And the problem is we have another tropical wave out ahead of it. That's the one that's moving in. So it's back to back. Here is the biggest concern. And I do appreciate you sharing this information because we don't have a name system yet, but we're going to see significant flooding in some islands over the next 3 days. Today, Sunday, Monday, significant flooding will be a possibility. Really anywhere from this sector, Dominica back through Trinidad and Tobago and northeastern Venezuela, keeping an eye on you as well. And then we'll eventually watch the ABC Islands as some of this rain will be shifting in. But the next few days with one tropical wave and then another moving in, we're going to see the flood threat and the mudslide threat, depending on your terrain, with some totals over 150 millimeters of rain or over 6 inches of rain. This is substantial stuff. I appreciate you subscribing to this channel as well, because if I have to put out some updates, you'll get them first. All right, looking at this, let me start with this. This is the rain for today, tomorrow into Monday. Now, here's the deal as you look at this map. It's a computer model. It's doing a good job, but you see these, let's take St. Lucia, for example. Some pockets of rain showing some white here, which would be some rain of 100 millimeters of rain or 4 inches, but there's a chance this could be right on top of Martinique, or it could be a little bit more to the south. We'll see, but you see in this zone, Dominica south through Trinidad and Tobago, including northeastern Venezuela, we're going to get some rain totals. Look at St. Lucia, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Grenada, even watching Barbados. This darker shading in here, that could be upwards of 150 millimeters of rain or 6 inches of rain, but some spots may push 20 centimeters. I can't stress this enough because it's not just one tropical wave, it's two moving in. So I really appreciate you sharing this information about that flood potential. Now, some of us, we may have one island that gets a lot and another island not a whole lot, but we'll be watching that as we go forward. Now, what the heck happens with that second tropical wave? Let me show you some of the scenarios here. And again, I let you know what I know and what I don't know, and I don't know how much this is going to develop. The European models kind of backed off. Yesterday was showing this area developing into a tropical storm or hurricane. As of now, by about a week from now, next weekend, it's just showing a strong tropical wave near Jamaica. I shouldn't say just, because that could lead to some flooding. But with that said, it's not showing a hurricane at this point. That's some good news. And again, always keeping things in perspective. We don't root for hurricanes, no doubt, especially this time of year with the warm water temperatures, but you could see the European model showing kind of a weaker system. I'll show you that in just a moment. Now, we swing back toward the American model. This is still insisting that this area will eventually, late in the upcoming week, develop into a hurricane, but it's now also showing a spin back toward Honduras and Nicaragua. And I mentioned how I don't just look at the models, I look at the environment, and knowing the models and doing this for decades, what this is telling me, not that this can't happen, but what this is telling me is the model's a little bit confused. It's trying to figure out which area may spin up, where it may spin up. As of now, it is showing that late next week, there could be a hurricane in the Caribbean, but it's also showing a new spot. So let's kind of wait and see on this together, right? Let's see if this shakes out. A lot of these models are significantly different from yesterday, and that's why I show them to you, and I trust your judgment. Again, we'll do this in the next video, and we'll see how much they change. The Canadian model is showing a tropical storm by next weekend somewhere in the Western Caribbean. Keep an eye on the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, watching over toward Belize, Honduras, San Andres, Providencia. This is pretty similar to the European model, showing something getting into the Western Caribbean by the time we work our way deep into the upcoming week and into next weekend. The Icon German model also puts something near the Western Caribbean, but this is a little stronger, making it a hurricane. But what's interesting about this model, over the last week or so, this model has not been showing really any development, and now all of a sudden showing a hurricane. They're computers, and I don't blame them, not that they're live, but it's hard to read the atmosphere at this point because, again, nothing has developed. There's a lot going on. This time of year, we have the fronts up to the north. There's pockets of wind shear, and watching the water temperatures. Now, this is the concern. The water temperatures are very warm, so if the winds above our heads relax enough, this tropical wave could really feed off of the warm water and strengthen something quickly. But know that I'm watching that. I got you covered right here. If something starts to develop quickly, quicker than what the models are seeing, I will give you a good advanced warning here. That's why I do this. So again, thank you for subscribing and sharing this information. Yes, the water temperatures are warm, but there's a lot of other variables that we'll be watching together. Now, the European model, you could see it here. It's showing this strong tropical wave sitting here. And again, there's another one out ahead of it that's bringing some of the rain toward Trinidad and Tobago. But here's the one that is the focus for development by tomorrow. It continues to work into the southeastern and eastern Caribbean. I want to show you some of the rain in just a second. So it's showing a tropical wave, no development over the next couple of days. And then as we work our way into the week ahead, look at this. By the time we get into Tuesday, it's really not showing a whole lot. This is good news, and I really hope this shakes out. Of course, it still means the flood threat, but as of now, by Tuesday, not showing a lot of development. But deeper down the road, the European model, like we're seeing with the other models, eventually hints at a little bit more development. You get toward Nicaragua, here's Jamaica. By the time we get into Friday, so we're looking at about 6 days from now, it does show this big blob of rain, maybe a tropical storm, but it shows it a little bit weaker, sitting somewhere over here. So I mentioned a few days ago that this is something we'll be watching for about 6 to 10 days, and you can see how it's going to be a long haul of kind of tracking this, seeing if it does develop. Now, here's the main run of the European model. So here we are in the Caribbean, Puerto Rico, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Cuba right here just to orient you, Antigua and Barbuda. As we work our way into tomorrow, this is tomorrow. You can see, again, no development out of this, but a lot of rain working in. The American model showing the same thing. That we're going to have a lot of rain moving in, and that's why I mentioned that flood threat first thing in this video. But here's the pocket of rain. Now, the European model, as we go through the week ahead, says, hey, this is not going to develop quickly, so it just kind of progresses across the Caribbean. Makes sense, but that would mean still by Tuesday, while we don't have a lot of development, it would enhance the chance of rain. Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, watching the Virgin Islands, but not showing anything organized. And then as we get deeper into the upcoming week, once we work our way into Friday into even Saturday, it just shows a lot of rain sitting somewhere in here. And this is when it kind of hints at the possibility of some development. But the good news is it's not showing anything crazy. The bad news is high pressure is locked in. Of course, let me keep that in perspective. That's good for some, bad for others. If high pressure is here, it keeps this area down to the south. We don't wish a storm on anyone, but with high pressure here, it's like a blocker. It's like a fence that could kind of pin down something in the Caribbean here. And if something just hangs out here for a few days, it could eventually feed off the warm water temperatures and eventually try to develop. But the European model, a weaker scenario. Here's the American model. Not that one's right or wrong. It's hard to read the environment at this time. Short term, the American model does an excellent job showing the two areas that we're watching, right? That flood threat that I mentioned, and we'll zoom down in a moment. Here's that first tropical wave, but here comes that second. So as we go out in time here, here's your clock. This is by Monday morning. So Sunday into Monday, a lot of rain sitting in parts of the eastern Caribbean, swinging back toward Venezuela, even clipping northern Guyana, and then it starts to see some moisture sitting over here. This is kind of new. It starts to show a second spin. Remember, I showed you a few minutes ago, kind of two areas. By the time we get into Tuesday, it's showing this, and this is likely that there'll be a lot of rain in the Eastern Caribbean. We know that, so all the models showing this, but it starts to pick up on some sort of development in the Western Caribbean, and it really shows kind of two spots in here, which is a little bit unusual, but we'll see how it shakes out by Thursday. The American model, though, does want to start to develop this into a tropical storm or hurricane just to the south of Haiti, the DR, and Puerto Rico. There's fronts to the north that may eventually pull it up to the north if this were to shake out. We'll see. And then it's still showing some sort of spin near Providencia, San Andres, and Nicaragua here. So not sure, but the main point is we're about to have a lot of rain move in, the flood threat, and we need to watch these areas closely, or at least one area, for development. Now, as far as the winds go, we'll get some strong winds coming in from east to west. That's going to be the motion. Kilometers an hour and miles per hour, trying to keep everyone covered. This is tomorrow into Monday. Nothing super organized, but we'll get some gusty winds. We're looking at some of the gust over 50 kilometers an hour, over 30 miles per hour for us in the Eastern Caribbean. And then by Tuesday, we'll start to see if anything spins up. The ABC Islands, you know, I got you covered. And we know that we've seen systems, let's say Ivan back in 2004, which took more of a southerly route. And of course, this time of year, we think about Mitch back in 98. We could get significant development in the Caribbean this time of year. Sometimes things take southern routes, so know that I'm watching everyone just to see how this really shakes out, and then we'll track it from there. But showing some increased winds by the time we get into Tuesday, and then we'll see if something's going to develop. By about Tuesday, Wednesday, no doubt I'll have a very good handle on what the heck is going on with this. But the short term, watching out for the rain moving in. There's that strong tropical wave. Not really seeing development over in the Eastern Pacific. That's some good news, but some additional rain sliding into Central America, and of course, Jamaica, Cuba. We're going to get some heavier storms. Bahamas, watching spotty storms. This is tomorrow. You see some additional rain. Jamaica getting some rain and storms. Here's the tropical wave moving in, the second one. And then you can see some of the rain. So Panama north through Guatemala, keeping an eye on Mexico. Belize kind of on and off. We'll get to those forecasts in just a second. And then by Monday, we'll see a lot of rain continuing to push in. Really Dominica south. That's where we'll see a better chance of rain. And I mentioned 3 days of this for some of us. 3 days of this for some of our islands. That's why the flood threat is high. And then we'll see what the heck's going on out here and see kind of what kind of development we'll get. Now, switching to the north, there's this big spin still here, keeping those seas high. I've been watching the Atlantic region of Canada. This spin, though, as it gets a little bit closer, will weaken. Coming out of Quebec and Ontario, a new system. And look at this, the tail end of it. Significant weather. We're talking over toward Illinois south, back through Missouri, Arkansas, tornado threat, deeper into today in a new system, British Columbia, Pacific Northwest moving in. This is a very active October map. What we're watching in the tropics, what we're watching to the north. Then as we work our way forward into tonight, there's that severe weather threat pushing to parts of Tennessee, watching over toward parts of Mississippi, Louisiana north, again through Indiana, Illinois, some rain back through Michigan, watching some of the rain that is still around with this spin near Winnipeg, watching parts of Canada with this front. This is tomorrow. And then that weakening area here, and here's that new spot coming out of British Columbia, diving down across the Rocky Mountains. And then as we work our way forward into Monday, you can see some of the moisture pulling back toward New England. We still need to get some rain in the Atlantic region of Canada. We'll see how much of that hangs together. And here's that new area coming out of kind of the Manitoba area, and a new system trying to work its way back into the Pacific Northwest. Busy pattern. Now, back to the tropics. The next name on the list is Melissa. So remember, the European model doesn't show a ton of development, at least over the next 5 days. The American model shows more. So we'll see if this area does get a name, but the next name on the list is Melissa, then Nestor after that, then Olga. Hopefully not too much more action as we go through the tail end of hurricane season. Got about another month and a half of hurricane season. Now, with that spin near Bermuda, the seas are going to be really high. We know that, but watching everything building with this new tropical wave, 2 of them moving into the Caribbean, Everything is going to get bumpier, especially in the Eastern Caribbean as we work our way into Monday and Tuesday, even the Central Caribbean. So giving you the heads up, even if they don't develop quickly, we're going to see those seas that will be building as we can imagine with this tropical wave moving in. As far as rain goes, spotty in nature. We'll be watching that over the next few days for many of us, but where it's going to be heavier, it's really going to come down, could give us a flood threat. While it's not widespread, not for all of us, Cuba, Cayman Islands, Jamaica, if we get some rain, we could get some spots over 75 millimeters of rain. Same thing, Turks and Caicos, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. We've already had some of the rain and storms around overnight in this area right here. Anguilla back through St. Kitts and Nevis, still a chance of some spotty showers. Watching that St. Martin, St. Bart's, but again, Dominica South, this is the sector, a 1-2 punch, one tropical wave moving in today, another one working in tomorrow and Monday. Watching out for the flood threat. So again, thank you for getting the word out. Northern sections of Guyana back through Venezuela, higher chance of rain, even getting some in northern sections of Suriname, but still these high pockets of rain. Panama North, watching that through Guatemala, western Honduras, interior Nicaragua, closer to the Pacific side, some higher totals. And watching the Yucatan Peninsula, some spotty showers, Merida, Campeche, a little bit more though, Cancun, Cozumel, with some of that action around. We swing back toward Mexico City, not quite as much, kind of on the edge of some of the rain. And then watching this here with some of those storms tonight. I mentioned that tornado threat in this sector where you get some storms. We could get a quick 3-4 inches of rain, hail, watching out for the possibility of tornadoes even tonight as that front continues to work by. And then we'll be watching that front progressing off to the east as we work our way into tomorrow. So Jamaica, we're about half and half, but as I mentioned, where we get it, it's really going to be coming down. Same thing in the Cayman Islands. We'll keep an eye on the all the islands of the Cayman Islands, anywhere from Brac all the way back through Grand Cayman, scattered areas of rain and storms. There's the high chance coming at us in Trinidad and Tobago, especially later today, tonight, and then in through Monday, because we have that second tropical wave. So let me know what you got going on in the comments. Put your location. If you have any flooding, please be safe with some of the heavier rain. Barbados, it's only going to be picking up as we work our way into tomorrow. Same thing in St. Lucia. We may see late today and tonight some of the rain starting to work in. A little bit more though by tomorrow and again on Monday. Same thing in Grenada. Later today, especially after sunset, that chance of rain will be going up and we'll be watching that as well. Same thing to the Grenadines. And tomorrow and Monday, the rain chance, it's up to 70%, and you see it building in Martinique as the tropical wave passes by. We'll do that as well in Dominica. Rain chance about 60%, especially late tomorrow, and a 70% chance by the time we get into Monday. On the backside of the tropical wave on Monday in Guadeloupe, rain chance will be up to 60%. We swing to the north, Antigua, Barbuda, looking at about a 40% chance tomorrow and Monday. Isolated stuff, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, rain chance not super high, doesn't mean we can't get a couple showers around. Anguilla, St. Bart's, about a 40% chance today. There's been some scattered moisture around again near the Virgin Islands, so we'll be seeing how that kind of comes into play. St. Martin, Saba, and Statia, watching out for the chance of some spotty showers for today. There's that 50% chance for today in Puerto Rico. That's already panned out for some of us, and about a 40 to 50% chance across the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. Some islands dry, others seeing some of the rain. We'll hold on to about a 30% chance across the Bahamas. We swing to the south, a little bit more, southern Bahamas and Turks and Caicos tomorrow and Monday. Rain chance is up to about 40%. Scattered areas of rain the next 3 days in the Dominican Republic, a 40 to 50% chance in Haiti. Again, all eyes on these tropical waves moving in. I'll be watching for development. If anything looks like it's going to develop near Puerto Rico, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, I got you covered. Belize, rain chance will be a little higher for us on Monday. We'll bump up to about a 50% chance. And Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire, watching these tropical waves very carefully. Rain chance will be eventually going up, but keeping a very close eye on development as a whole across the ABC Islands. Guyana, northern sections, better chance of rain. Northern sections of Suriname, a better chance of rain. Scattered about in Cuba. By Monday, rain chance will go up to about 50%. Then we swing back toward Costa Rica, Panama. Rain chance stays high. It's going to be staying high in Nicaragua, central and western zones. 40 to 50% chance over the next few days in Honduras, and the next 2 days, Guatemala, El Salvador, rain chance running at 80%. 40% chance the next couple days, Mexico City, mainly south, and running at about a 50 to 60% chance across the Yucatan Peninsula, as I mentioned, staying active. Rain chance building in northern Colombia, and watching northern and especially northeast eastern Venezuela for that chance of some flooding. Meanwhile, in Bermuda, watching that spin that is sitting up to the north, and of course those seas very high. So tropical wave arriving Sunday, that's the bigger one. We have that little one arriving today. So 2 tropical waves, heavy areas of rain and flooding will continue to march off toward the west as the week goes on, and we'll be watching out for any development. So again, if I need to put out some additional videos, I will. Watching this, I'll be going through your comments as we go throughout the day. Stay safe with some of the flooding and have a good day ahead.